All right, welcome everyone. My name is Bo. I'm going to give folks a few moments to join today and give a quick little intro about Acelab. So we are helping out with hosting today's event, presented by the folks at Promenaid. So we've got Rob Geller here as well as Janice. They're going to be here to give a presentation about their amazing modular handrail system and on board to answer any and all questions that come up. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys how to find Promenaid on Acelab. So Acelab provides free non-sponsored product research tools. If you're interested in learning more about Acelab in general, my colleague Armand will be joining in a minute to give a little quick intro, and he'll drop his meeting link in the chat as well. I'm going to just go ahead and sign in and show you how to find a manufacturer if you know exactly who you're looking for. So we've got a bunch of search tools up here, as well as some project management tools. I'm going to skip over that today and just show you this search bar at the top. So this is where you head if you know the manufacturer that you want to go to. Just start typing in their name and that'll auto-populate. You can head over to their page on Acelab. And this is a great place to come after the webinar. If you have any follow-up questions, if you want to reach out about a project, you can just use this contact button right here to get in touch with Rob directly. And that'll allow you to enter project details if it's a project question, to select a specific product if you're looking for specific product info, and really let them know exactly what you're talking about. And scrolling down, you can explore more about their products on this page as well. So it's also just a great place to come and get some more additional information. And then once you reach out to Rob over here, you will have a record of that inquiry over in your conversations. So to get back to that and add in some additional messaging, you can always just head over to your conversations over here, and you'll have a list of all of the outreach that you've done. All right. So with that, just a few housekeeping items. I just want to really encourage everyone to please submit questions throughout today's webinar. We're going to be able to kind of pause and answer questions on the fly, as well as, we'll have some time at the end if there are some more questions that we can't get to, and we'll also have a record of everyone's questions so we can follow up after the event. You can also raise your hand and we're happy to unmute you. That doesn't mean you have to turn your camera on, so you don't have to be too nervous. But if you have a question that feels difficult to type out, or you'd like to, ask out loud, please raise your hand. I'll keep my eye on that so that we can get anyone talking who would like to talk during today's event. All right, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Armand. Armand is just going to give a few moments to share about how Acelab works with architects, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with today's presentation.
Thanks, Bob, and sorry for running a little late. Hi, all. I'm Armand. I'm the Director of Architectural Partnerships here at Acelab, and really my goal here is to work with architects really directly. And if there are any questions that you have, people reach out to me all the time to work through any particular questions they have about various materials and details. So I'm just going to pull up a presentation about a program that we've been working on for at least over a year. With I think about 30 or 40 architecture firms at this point, called the Product Concierge, which is a more hands-on consulting service where we help architects work through various material questions. Effectively, we kind of operate as part of your team on a bi-weekly basis, where you come to us with questions about materials and challenges on your project, and we help provide you with recommended product selections and overall just save you design time and with reaching out to manufacturers and understanding information about products. So a very typical way that we work with architects on this are noted here, in a few different areas. A lot of architects ask for very simple design material research. So a quick example would be if you're looking for a faux concrete facade, but don't know where to start with lower cost options, we'll provide you with a couple areas. I think in this case that we were working with an architect in California, we suggested a range of things from a limestone plaster all the way to a high performance concrete panel, which is like a 1/4 inch thick and reduces the cost overall. A couple other areas we help in include kind of providing comparison reports for different products, product alternatives. I think one example here that I've noted was with an architect in New York looking for low VOC options for lacquer, and so we provided 3 or 4 alternatives that they could turn to start exploring. And then I think another big typical use case with architects has always been kind of a value engineering study of some sort when a budget comes in too high, and so we help with substitution studies where you don't necessarily reduce the the outcome of the project, but instead are able to optimize for a certain aspect of what your clients are asking for. In this case, we helped out with looking for alternatives to Coneer, which is already a high performance product. And then finally, when there are manufacturers that you don't have relationships with, we're happy to help you reach out and talk to these manufacturers. We have a vast network of over 700 plus manufacturers, so we're always happy to do the outreach and discuss these things with them so that you can get the answers as quickly as possible. Another aspect of kind of the product concierge is really helping you build out a way to future-proof your firm's knowledge. And so I know building a firm library can be really challenging, especially with your project demands. And so as part of this program and with Acelab's growing website and new features coming regularly, we're releasing a library feature in early 2024 that through the product concierge and working with you on your projects will help build out and will help you upload your existing library. So that way, anytime in the future when you have a new project, you don't have to start from scratch. And we can talk about this further if you set up a meeting regarding the product concierge. So one last area I just want to make sure that you're able to understand is how this program works. It's completely free and really low time commitment, though from the architects that we've worked with, they've enjoyed a lot of time savings, especially with like 5 to 10 hours that they do in material research we're able to take on for them. After this meeting, Bo or I will drop, at least during this meeting, we'll drop a link to a kickoff if you would like to schedule one in the chat. And the kickoff would be like 45 minutes. We'd identify our project to 2 and talk through material challenges you have with that project. After which we'd set up a bi-weekly check-in, which is about 30 minutes twice a month. And during these check-ins, we'll talk about the different material challenges and come back to you with either research on the products that you've asked for or vendor connections that you need and so forth. So anyway, thanks for letting me join. If you have a couple of projects and want to schedule a kickoff, I'll drop a link in the chat. And I'm excited to hear about Promenaid.
Awesome. Thanks, Arman. Yeah, keep an eye out for that link in the meeting chat. And without further ado, we'll hand it off to Rob to get started with today's presentation. I always really love hearing more about Promenaid, and I know that it's a product I really wish I knew about while I was practicing. So I'm really excited to share this with you all today. All right, Rob.
Well, thank you. Just following up on Arman was talking about value engineering. I think our entire existence is an exercise in value engineering. The handrail is not a new thing, so I guess technically everything we do is either value engineering on what exists or value engineering on our own system, and we kind of obsess about it. There's a lot of things we do. First of all, just a little introduction about us. I am one of the company founders and co-owner. We're headquartered in Montreal. Everything is manufactured here and shipped out of Montreal. Janice joined us in June, and we have never been a better company because of it. She's one of those people that when you're at the age where you have babysitters and you find that phenomenal babysitter, you want to boast about it, but you don't, because you don't want anybody to take that babysitter. So we're very fortunate to have Janice. So what we want to talk about today is how to keep things in check, on schedule, on budget, no matter how much changes on the fly. And these we call them the red clouds of death. They're always showing up, and at all kinds of all kinds of stages during the project. Let me just want to there we go. As has been said over the centuries, the only thing constant is change. So we're going to talk about change before the construction starts, throughout the entire design process, and also what happens on the job site. I mean, the common one obviously is those as built dimensions, very highly unlikely to match the architectural plans exactly. And also, we've been doing this for about 13 years now. There is just no end of things that happen on a job site that you can't plan for. We've seen, things like personnel changes. So there's some disorganization on the job site. Boxes of parts get lost. We had one client who kept getting requests to ship this one particular part. They kept losing this for whatever reason. They kept losing this box of this particular part. We had a pallet of 2,000 feet of handrail go missing from a job site. We don't know how. So, but our system is set up so that we can respond and keep everything moving quickly. So when all these changes keep happening, there's a number of things that you want to make sure you can somehow maintain. The design, the original design, or the creativity. And obviously you get all these change requests, but the schedule doesn't change, and optimally the budget doesn't change. How do you do all this? So we're going to present a number of case studies that show how we can either deliver this with either no change at all or really minimal change. And to do that, there are all kinds of factors, but we're going to talk about two in particular. One is the lead time. How long does it take to manufacture something? How long does it take to get it? How long does it take to design it, ship it, all that, all those factors. And especially if you're now in the middle of the installation. And then what type of versatility does not only the product have, but the entire your entire system and infrastructure. So what can your products do? What can you figure out that they can do that you hadn't thought of before? And how much financial latitude is there? Sometimes there is some, and sometimes there's not. And it was exactly this type of scenario that created Promenaid. So an elderly family friend who used to live 2 doors down from me and moved into Montreal. And this is Montreal's built on a mountain. And so his house is on the face of the mountain. It's actually a 4-story home. And so as he aged, he coincidentally was a very renowned architect here in Montreal. And his name is Dave Reich. And he had polio as a child and had to put handrails in his home. And, with his beautiful home, he needed them to be really nice. He needed to really hold on to them. This wasn't just a nominal formality handrail. This was really a mobility structure for him. And so they had to be really, really strong. He looked around and really couldn't find anything that was easy, quick to install. So he went the route that we've discovered is really a very common route to go until we came along, was stainless steel. So that meant everything custom bending, custom welding. And what happened was, of course, it's an old home. You miss a weld by an inch, the bracket doesn't go into, there's no stud for it to go into. Off the wall, undo the weld, redo it. So the whole adventure took about 6 months to get it done and cost them $15,000 to $20,000. And David's entire history as an architect was, there's got to be a better way to do X. Either make it accessible to more people, make it easier, and either more affordable. So after all this occurred, he called his nephew, who's an industrial designer and has been in manufacturing for many, many years. He and I also grew up together, so we were all from the same small town north of Montreal. And David would call Kel with ideas all the time. My partner's named Kel Warshaw. And he called him with this this problem he had with the handrail. And fortunately, Kel had been was also the designer and manufacturer of the world's first ADA compliant hand dryer. So he knew the code, not just the ADA code, but building codes inside out, knew materials, methods, manufacturers, fabricators, had all the network set up. But he couldn't believe that David couldn't find a practical handrail. He went online, and David said, it's got to be so much simpler. And David was looking at the installation, how difficult that was. It took so long, but it obviously it still needs to be aesthetic and strong. And what we discovered actually is that it's not that people don't want handrails; they don't want ugly handrails. So that was really helped change things as well once people saw something aesthetic. But the easy, fast installation, that was a real problem. How do you do that? And David's challenge to Kel wasn't just easy enough that anybody could do it. From a DIYer to a trade professional. So out of all that came our modular system, and although it's the second word in there, the core of it is the simplicity of everything. I mean, absolutely everything. Had to be stylish, which it is. It is fast. As you can see, what took David 6 months, we can do in a couple of days. I've received a phone call. As I said, we're in Montreal. I received a phone call from Los Angeles. It was Thursday morning, and we had a code compliant handrail designed, shipped, and installed in Los Angeles by Friday afternoon. And this isn't not unusual, not our usual course of events, but it can be done. And the homeowner installed it. All you need is a drill, a chop saw, and an Allen key, and that's just about it. So what I want to do is go through a couple of our experiences and case studies just to show how we do all this. Bo, I see there's a couple of things in the chat. I haven't looked at them, but is there? I can't hear you. You're muted.
It's all me. You're good. Those are just messages from me.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll read out any that come in that we should address. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is, the first experience I want to share with you, and this was working with the architecture firm, with Jones Architecture. So we received the Jones Architecture contacted us. They were remodeling 2 lecture halls at Boston College. And this was the springtime, so everything had to be done between the end of the school year and the start of the next school year. And there were a number of constraints. And as you can see in the photo here, the lecture hall, these sections here, this is soft sound absorbing material. So you couldn't install anything on them. And the challenge here was it had to go exactly where these existing panels are. Now, one thing about our system is it's so easy. Actually, I'm going to turn that off. One of the reasons we can do this so quickly and that they called us was that they had found us online and saw that our brackets can go wherever you want them, whenever you want. That was actually one of David's insights. He said it was just insane how much time it took to get the brackets lined up. You have to be able to put the brackets wherever you want, whenever you want. So I'm going to just stop sharing for a second. And the system is we have a number of different colors, anodized, either silver, black, architectural bronze. But the key is that this profile, as you can see it, has this continuous channel the entire way. And it's really inspired by track lighting. You know, almost everything we do is sort of hiding in plain sight solutions. So the bracket just goes, I'm using a different color bracket just so you can see, but it goes in, you twist it, it's locked in place, and that's it. And then you just move it wherever you want. And these can be installed before, they can be added, removed, repositioned, even after everything's installed. And that gets your bracket in place. And then to cap it off, we have either a flush end cap, or you need a wall return to just keep comply with code. That's it. You just pop it on. So it's really a system that just goes together in a flash. Let me share that screen again. So, so we were able to design and have this ready to go.
Rob,
Yep.
before you go, we have someone asking about the maximum distance between brackets. So if you want to talk about that and how much weight they can bear. Yes,
great question. So we designed them nominally to be every 32 inches, which should be every other stud in a residential setting. But we know that studs are never where they're supposed to be, and we wanted to build some latitude into the whole system. So we have they can actually go quite a distance. We have testing data up to 48 inches, but it's kind of like speed limits. If you put 60 miles an hour, you know somebody's going 70, maybe even more. So each bracket can support up to 500 pounds, or no, not up to, at least 500 pounds. And we tested it with at 48 inches, at 32 inches, and we even tested it just to be safe with only 2 of the 3 screws hitting the stud. You can see that there's 3, and even if just 2 screws hit the stud, they'll support 500 pounds. That's additive. So every bracket you add is another 500 pounds.
Awesome.
So yeah.
There was another one that came in asking if the handrails are suitable for exterior and about the profile. Is it oval or flat bar?
We have round and only round. It's 1.6 inch diameter. And this is probably the way the code is going too, because by code it has to be grippable, so it has to be round or effectively round. So if it's oval, there's a certain proportion that it can be. But I'm going to show you some other components that we have that require that it's perfectly round. And also just for inventory management and control, we've kept one profile. They're indoor and outdoor. And so all the anodized models, it's the thickest anodizing possible. So we've got them on ferry boats. We've got them into on docks, indoor, outdoor, in showers, because it can be configured like grab bars. We have 2 wood models, and it's actually real wood bonded to the aluminum extrusion. And that's what you're seeing in this this image. Oh, am I? Yeah. Are you seeing my screen, Janice?
Yes. So if you
Okay.
could stop sharing it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So that's it's wood. That's what was in the screen, but it's a very, very thin layer, 1/thousandth of an inch thin or thick, bonded to the aluminum. So counterintuitively to me, it's actually stronger than real wood because it takes on the properties of the aluminum. So it's dent resistant, scratch resistant. You know, and if somebody really gouges it, it's a modular system, so you can just replace a section. So the answer is yes, indoor, outdoor. The wood is indoor only. We worked with the architect, and not only, you know, they didn't, they contacted us just to see if, you know, not just to see if we could do this, but also because it was sort of this funny situation where the brackets absolutely had to go exactly where these existing supports were. Can't go in here. Except, there was the caveat, except this place hasn't been renovated in years. We don't even know what's behind the wall. So once we open it up, we may have to move them. Turns out they didn't have to. So the mandate was they can't be moved, but they may have to be moved. Turns out they didn't have to be moved. But the other reason is, how much is this going to cost? This was even before there was a contractor awarded the project, so they wanted to know what the impact on the budget would be. So we worked with them and came up with that. And there were a number of things. It wasn't just this. There was some other designs that they needed. So I'm just going to bring that up. So there were a number of different areas. So we provided them with renders ahead of the project. This one in particular went through a couple of different designs. Do we want it on post? Do we want it on the wall? We've got architectural drafters on staff, so it took them no time to sketch up the options. This was an interesting one. Looks like a small thing, except the architectural plan had the post going into the floor. And of course, in conversation, it came up time and again that these are students and they're going to be rushing in and out of the lecture hall. We want it to be, durable. So we said, well, how about, somebody's going to bang into that post for sure. So we were able to still comply with code and just do a different configuration. So they're pretty pleased with that. So that's what we ended up doing. I'm going to close that. Here we go. So that was, a case of working with the architect, find budget, can it be done? How much latitude and versatility do we have when we actually get on the job site and start opening up, or if we need to open up the walls? So one of the things about our system also is that there's a wide range of what we can do. And if you don't see it here, we can either do it, or quite often, a lot of what you see, we've invented it or value engineered something because it didn't exist. And we're either asked explicitly or implicitly. We hear, frustrations of clients, about trying to do certain things. So I'm just going in Rock Hill, South Carolina. There's an iconic old paper mill, and it had gone derelict, and they were they had decided to bring it back to life. So the architect on the who was in charge, they had the plans. They looked around the site and they saw a whole range of different types of handrails and guardrails that were needed, and a lot of which were typically manufactured by local fabricators. And they wanted an elegant look. They wanted a consistent look, and what they would have had could have turned out okay, except they would have been working with, a whole, flock of different fabricators, different schedules, all kinds of different, challenges. And when they got in touch with us, discovered that we could do just about everything that they needed for the site. So this is the original site, which I just thought was a cool picture to find. We visited, that's what it is now, but these are about 300 feet high. And one of my, the project managers said, if you look inside, you can actually see them kind of wavering back and forth, but they've held for 100 years. When I visited the site, actually, this is a little after I visited the site last December. This is also an exercise in plans always changing, and guaranteed a job of this scope, the as-built is going to vary from from the architectural plans. So, and this is taken yesterday, right, Janice? Janice is down in North Carolina, and took some shots of it, and it's not as neat. It's even more impressive in person than it is on camera. But it's and we ordered in the perfect blue day as well. So this gives you a sense of the different types of things that had to be done. So guardrails, handrails. We don't do this. This was a stage that they built. And I'll tell you a bit about this guardrail at the front. But we were able to design all of that for them, and send them these renders in advance, so everybody knew what was going on. It's kind of cool to see it come to life. Actually, this is the shot I like too. So this shows a tremendous amount of what we can do. Now you see that these posts here are sunk into the concrete. Our system is such that they had the choice. You can either sink them into the concrete or you can surface mount them. The challenge with surface mounting is this is on a slope. So how do you offset the slope? And for years, we've had customers complaining about, how do I shim, or do I core drill, or I got to plan in advance and have a form. So we've designed I'm gonna stop sharing. The first of its kind, we call it the tech post. So this is just the base of it, and it's two parts. And you can see that it's cut a bit on the diagonal, both halves. And as you rotate it, I'll try to rotate it, you can see that it offsets the angle. So you can have it, you can attach it afterwards on the surface of the concrete without having to shim. You just dial it in. There's actually a scale on the bottom. You can see 1 to 12 or 1 to 8, whatever it needs to be. And then on the goes the post, and it's perfectly vertical to the eye, and 1 bolt. That's all it is. Excuse me. Goes on wood, concrete, whatever surface you need to. So there's just a bunch of really neat photos. So the other is, this is the front of the stage, and this again, changing plans. What can we do with our system? So and when Janice was there yesterday, one of the things she noticed is that as people were visiting, the most common entry was right here. Was that correct, Janice? Up this stair here?
No, sorry. So the most popular is actually the ramp up above.
Oh, okay.
The parking lot is up around the corner there. So that's why this guardrail on the stage was so useful. It allows for people to still enter through there and pass through there the majority of the time when it's not being used for performance. But during performances, the ramp is closed off and those are removed.
Yeah. So when they, the builders and the architects and the owners saw the system, and they said, hey, we need some kind of protection at the front of this stage. And they were planning on it, but then they wondered if we could do it. So it would be 1 install, 1 build, 1 supplier. So that's exactly what it is. We worked with them. So we actually provided them with some options. So option 1 was just entirely using our system, just bolted right into the face of the concrete, or they could go with some existing options. They went with ours. So when there's a performance, they undo a couple of hex screws, pop this off, and then afterwards just put it back on. And so that's the whole thing was pretty innovative, just a little creative thinking. We didn't even have to develop or invent any components for it. One of the things I'll say about this, and even Boston College and all the other cases, the contractor that installed this, until it arrived in South Carolina, had never seen Promenaid before. They installed the entire system with really without a hitch. I just want to make sure we're getting all the give you the scope of the all the diversity of what it is that they had to install.
And we did have someone type in asking about handrail lighting. If you just wanted to touch on that, Rob.
Excellent question. We do, and I will show you. Here, why don't I just jump to the we're the instant that, I don't know if you can still, everybody saw this channel, the word, oh, you got to put LED lighting in there. The challenge was that it's a modular system. You never know where the brackets are going to be. You never going to know where the bends are going to be. So we had to design a system where we ended up with a modular LED. So you can see it's small modules that are all connected in a daisy chain. It's a low voltage. This is indoor, outdoor capable. And so Powerhouse, the location in South Carolina just showing, they are installing LEDs. They just haven't done it yet. So that will be all lit as well. So we're starting to do entertainment clubs, movie theaters, beautiful for, as you see, for residential as well. So and can all be hooked up to smart home systems. They're dimmable. So, and I've got all the specs for that. So if you want the specs, if you can just drop us a note, we can send it to you. And it's also on our website.
Great. Someone just asked if there's a stainless steel material option.
Well, the closest we have is a clear anodized. Stainless is a whole other ball game. It's actually a softer material. And there are manufacturing considerations as well that that Kel can speak to. We do what we do. There are stainless options out there, and if it really has to be stainless steel, right now it's something that we don't do. So, like I said, if it's stainless, this is a clear anodized. Anybody who wants samples can also just leave us a note. We can get samples to you so you can see what it looks like. Here's we're just gonna so you can get kind of a stainless look. This happens to be my in-laws bathroom, a couple of doors but a block away from me. They replaced the towel rack with a grab bar, and we can configure, call this a grab bar, but we can configure it however you want in a shower. So there's plenty you can do. That's our stainless look. So.
Great. Someone was asking if there was anything that could be done to make it look continuous instead of seeing the parts jointed together. So maybe if you could show more example photos of some bends up close.
Yeah. Let me. So the nature of working with some of the lighter colors, you've got anodized. You've got, if it's anodized aluminum, the hardware is all zinc. So that's powder coated. So it's a powder coat on zinc versus an anodized aluminum. So you're going to get some variance in the silver. That's the nature of the beast. But in the darker colors, so the bronze, we have architectural bronze as well. The black, it's all the same color. And we also have white, which I will get for you in a minute. So that's, yeah, as I was saying, that's kind of the nature of the beast for the lighter colors, for the anodized. And this as well. This is a design store in New Hampshire. They had ordered a couple of small jobs from us, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to put this in our store." They installed this themselves. So we've seen a lot of really impressive installations. We discovered that everybody is a DIYer. When we said DIY when we started, we thought of the homeowner, but handrails were the domain of specialists, the stair and railing specialists. So we're having it installed now by the drywallers, by the Division 10, by all kinds of different trades. It doesn't have to be the stair and railing specialist. Well, one thing I meant to touch on was we identified the challenge originally as the installation, because that's what David saw. But not long after we got into the business, we realized that the world was not familiar with handrails, with handrail design, with handrail code. A good, well over 50% of the time, we'll get architectural plans and the handrail just says TYP, just get a handrail there. And we discovered that we weren't in the business of selling just an installation solution. We had to provide support from one end to the other. So we do the takeoffs, we get the architectural plans, we do the takeoffs, we do, as you saw, the detailed renders, we provide detailed shop drawings. Let me see. So you'll get, this is for the powerhouse. So we walk them through this because there's no end of support that is needed the entire journey. We want to make it easier for people to find us, to understand what it is that they get in the shipment. We want to make sure that we obsess over the packaging, that it arrives in good condition. So it's not just a product itself. I'm just going to close that. And I'm going to show you one or two quick cases here. One is Casa de las Campanas. It's a senior living community just north of San Diego in Rancho Bernardo. And as you can see, it's big. It's about 2 miles of handrails or 2 miles of hallways. And they were redoing all the hallways. They had a multi-million-dollar budget for these hallways. And so they were redoing the carpeting, the lighting, the wall treatment, the ventilation. And at some point, they decided to do the handrail, and we weren't part of the process at the time. But the plans had been either they needed, for whatever reason, they needed a new set of architectural plans. So those were done. They were done before they decided to install the handrails. So we got a call and saying, we need handrails. Got about 8,000 feet. Do you have drawings? Yeah, we got drawings. They sent us the drawings, no dimensions on it. And they said, yeah, and by each door, there's kind of an architectural detail. It's a nice wood panel to make it look nice. And this was, so we, gathered as much information as we could. This just gives you a sense of the scope of it. This is 1/2 of a hallway, maybe. It's a lot of hallway. And I'm just gonna, so this is the architectural detail they were telling us about. And there's a 1/2 inch offset between this and this. So we said, well, how many of these do you have? They said, well, we don't know. We think it's about, we think about 20% of the brackets will be on here. So we go back to them and said, okay, well, we have a system where you can easily bend the railing and just do a zigzag. And this is, by the way, here, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. This is a larger version, but this is how quickly you can set a bend on our system. And it just, you can see it just tightens down with hex screws. It's an Allen key. They said, no, we want, hang on. We want to keep the nice straight line. No problem. Fortunately, being in Canada, the building code in Canada, commercial code in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, we have a lot of customers there. The UK, the clearance requirement is 2 inches. So we have, just by the nature of where all our customers are, we have a 1/2 inch spacer. So that just worked out beautifully. So 80% of the brackets, or maybe even more, are on a 1/2 inch spacer, and the rest just so you can see right there, just ties right in. And of course, they came back to us and said, do you have anything with antimicrobial in it? We didn't, but we found very quickly a provider that that can do a powder coat with the antimicrobial compound in the powder coat. Couldn't even see the difference. We asked them if it was really necessary. We do all of Baptist Medical Center in Jacksonville, and a number of other health facilities. We've done 50 to 100,000 feet of hospital and clinic handrail. Never asked for antimicrobial, but they still wanted it. So it was not a problem to get it. And even without the dimensions, my team just went and manually measured, to the best of our ability, how much railing and we're going to need, and how many spacers and all the components. I think we nailed it. They didn't come back. The only thing they came back with was, they said, hey, we have a new section that we need some railing for. Can you quote us for 15 feet? Not 15 feet. We said, you got to have 15 feet out of the 10,000 we sent. Maybe they do, but in any case, that was it. So, and this is a fun one. I'm going to show you. This is, I was at a conference last year and met one of the principals at the office for Jacobs in Orlando, and it was just good timing. They designed the new facility for the Orlando Utilities Commission, and this is a 450-foot elevated, it's going to be open air walkway. And he saw the plans, and there was going to be, guardrail, handrail, all LED. And he called me up and he said, they've kind of Frankensteined it. Can you give us a proposal? So fast forward, we're obviously doing the job. We were there. Janice and I were in Orlando a couple of weeks ago for a conference, and just wonderful coincidence. This was close by, so we went to the job site. And this is one of those things where, unless sometimes you just got to go there to get a full sense of what's going on. How are we doing for time, by the way? Okay. So in the plans, this is sloped a bit for water runoff, and the plans say it's a 1 to 12 slope. Well, we went there just to get a sense of it and where everything could get bolted into, and it's actually 1 to 48. So we didn't have to change anything. What we were doing is pre-drilling holes in the posts to make it quicker and easier for them to do the installation. And so that just confirmed, how and where we need to pre-drill the holes. So we're just measuring it there. And they said, yeah, there's some cabling and stuff in the, and there's going to be concrete poured all over. Well, now having seen it, we came up with, this is, not miles, but, a lot of these cables and that you don't want to drill through. So we came up, and you can see them here too. So we worked very closely with them to make sure that how they were going to mark where the posts are going to go. So there's Janice setting up the time lapse. So we're hoping we'll get the time lapse of the install. So it actually left our dock this morning. So that install is going to happen real soon. And so the last one I want to talk about really quickly is we were contacted by a builder that's doing a job for a national theater chain. And this is a case where there are the theaters right, nationwide. You've got different builders, and the nature of the type of handrail that goes in theaters are here it is that these are almost always done by local fabricators. So here you have a similar design, kind of different dimensions across the country, but you've got different fabricators all over the place, different builders, and it just adds to the complexity of the job. And this is a very preliminary drawing just to get a sense of where things are going. This is a guardrail with some infill, and they've always done it traditionally one way. Well, this is where value engineering comes in. It's very old-fashioned metal stamped infill, and we can easily do the structure around it. And we've developed, really, it just took us about a week or two. We've developed a much more efficient, stronger, faster, more stylish, and lower cost way of doing this, that they can do it consistently across the entire network. So it was so now they're going to have, if this all works out, they have a reliable and timely source of material. Before, when they said, I need it right away, what's right away? Well, I need it in 4 months. Well, you can have it in 4 days. So all the plans get done by the same source. The materials come from the same source, so it's all consolidated and consistent, so they can start worrying about a lot of the bigger things that go on. We had suggested, well, maybe one of the alternatives here is some really strong glass, and no sooner did it come out of our mouths and we thought hot buttered popcorn. No glass, and that was really the reason. It would be just an absolute nightmare. But so those are the all these examples of adapting on the fly. None of these have really changed the schedule. It was done very close or within or less than the budget. I remember one job we had in Boston. It was a four-story stairway. It was a switchback, and none of them conformed to the plans, and they all they're all kind of like this one, except the nosings were all different, and every single one. They never came back to us for parts. With what they had on hand, because this is all so adaptable and adjustable, they were able to install it. It really didn't matter how much the variance was, and if it was something outside of what they could do on the job site, we'd overnight the part to them. So that's basically Promenaid in a nutshell. Let me look at and as I was saying, we discovered that the handrail and the installation is almost, it's not the least of your worries, but there's all these other factors that are just as complicated and problematic. So we focus really and obsess on everything to keep it quick, versatile, get things done. And if, like I said, if we don't have the part, chances are we might not be able to do it for the project at hand, but good chance we'll be able to either invent it or value engineer something to do it. So I don't know if there are any other questions. Oh yeah, by the way, this is Uncle Dave. This is Kel's uncle, my family friend. His son, his siblings are like, his kids are like siblings to me. He passed away a couple of years ago, but very proud to be awarded this patent. All he wanted in his life was to create that thing that had some kind of impact, and he put up a good amount of money to get this off the ground. Did not want an ROI. He just wanted it to happen and, you know, get his the same amount of investment out, which he did. And so and we kind of pinch ourselves. This was just an idea in a very frustrated, cranky old man's head, and here we are, 20 people selling all over the world now.
Thank you.
I see is there a question there?
There is one still open, and then I know Janice has been answering quite a few for us. So first, yeah, just somebody asks 1.6 inch diameter. I thought ADA was 1.5 max.
No, it's up to 2 inches actually. So I think it might so it definitely conforms with ADA.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then it looks like there's some thank yous. And I'm going to go check in the answered questions that Janice has been going through just to see if any are good to chat about out loud while we've still got a few minutes left. But also want to put in one more reminder, if anybody would like to raise their hand, feel free to do so and you can ask a question out loud. All right, let's see. So somebody had asked about renewable energy certificates for this product for projects that are seeking zero carbon design certifications. And I saw that Janice answered that that's something that you're currently working on. So
yep.
I think that's probably really important to a lot of folks. So just wanted to share that as well.
Yeah, the aluminum, I believe, is the #1 recycled product on the planet, and zinc is a highly recyclable too. We have a bin. I'm sitting, you know, a couple of feet from the warehouse. We have a, these are, a lot of these pieces that I showed you are remnants. So we've got a bin of these, and we've got a guy who comes around every week or two and buys all the aluminum off of us to recycle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true that aluminum is like one of the most recycled materials. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see, it looks like most of the other ones Janice has gotten to. So with that, I think we'll put in one last call for any last minute questions. But again, if you have any follow-up questions after the event, feel free to use Acelab to reach out directly to the Promenaid team. You can reach out to them with project inquiries, general inquiries, whatever you might have. Somebody asks for guardrail options. So let's
yeah, so this is here, I'll just bring up Powerhouse again. So this is guardrail. So we supply, this is 42 inches height, and with the secondary handrail at 36. It's also a modular installation so all these balusters, and we have a pre-cut spacer. So this is the bottom rail here just happens to be, well, I know it's this flipped over. So you just put the balusters or spindles in, put in the aluminum spacer, put the next one, and it all goes together in a, you know, pretty quickly. So yes, guardrails, yes. Yeah.
Guardrails are an option.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're thinking of changing everything so that we start, you know, we started just in sort of aging in place residential modifications, and now that we're doing all this commercial, I think we'll include guardrails in our name, because we're doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, one more quick one before we jump off. Adrian asks, does it lock at every 4 inches on center?
Would it, oh yes, here. Yeah, so the spacers are cut, I think they're 3 7/8 or something like that, so that everything, so you don't even have to start measuring it. Put the spacer in and everything's 4 inches. And also we can, I think for Orlando and for a lot of these, just with a rib nut. So this is also 4 inches, the 4-inch clearance here. So it's all kind of automatic.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
and with that, we are at time. So I see there might have been one last minute question. We'll follow up with you after today's event if that did not get answered. And just want to say one more thank you to all of our attendees who joined us today. And thank you so much, Rob and Janice. This was an incredible presentation. Always lovely to learn more.
Yeah, whoever has that question, if you want to just fire it to Acelab, I'm around all afternoon. I can get to it in a minute. And if you want to talk or email it, I'm around.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.